Alright, so today we've got a pretty laid back video. Long time no see, guys. It's been almost 2 weeks since I've uploaded a video, and I explained why a few weeks ago, but now I plan on getting back into the swing of things. I was starting to miss you guys. Anyways, today I just want to do another community video, as this one is pretty long overdue. If you're new here, a community video is where I ask you guys to send me a bunch of questions or statements, and I answer them right here in a video. These are still some of my favorite videos to make, and I'm glad that you guys still send me stuff. This time around we got more questions than ever, mainly due to the core combat update, so of course I'll be doing a part 2, as I'm not answering too many in this video since I'm sort of waiting for Thursday, tomorrow. If you guys aren't aware, Ubisoft Forward is tomorrow, and For Honor will be there to show off a little bit of next season, which I'm pretty excited for, and of course I'm praying for a surprise, but I'll talk about that in a second. Now, as always, if you do watch this channel regularly or just want to make my day a little better, I'd really appreciate it if you took a second to sub to the channel. And also, there's a link in the description to my Twitter. I'm hoping to reach 1,000 followers, and I'm only 27 away. So it'd be cool if you decided to follow me over there as well. Now, with that being said, let's not waste any more time and get right into it. Alright, so starting things off real quick is my response to all the people calling me selfish or entitled or whatever for wanting another For Honor game and starting to really hope for a sequel announcement at Ubisoft Forward. I know that the odds are slim, and Ubi has only told us that we'll see a little something for the next season there, but a man can hope, right? Now, new consoles are dropping soon. We're heading towards the end of year 4. I can hold on to a shred of hope. Anyways, I talked about this a long time ago towards the very end of a video. I'm not really sure why people get upset with me or anyone that actively wants a new game, right? I get that there are definitely pros and cons to a new game, or, you know, just sticking with this one. But to me personally, I think that another game would just be best for this IP. It doesn't even need to be a direct sequel or anything. I'd like that, of course, but I'd be alright if the For Honor franchise branched off into something else, as long as it's live service. Don't get me wrong, I love standalone games, but as time has gone on, I find myself always coming back to live service games because they're always evolving, and if done correctly, can make a game feel fresh on a regular basis. We're all aware that the story of For Honor isn't really too engaging or anything like that, but I feel like there is plenty of room to work with what we've got. Hell, if there's going to be a direct successor, they could even scrap the story we have now and do something entirely different if they're going to keep the Art of Battle system. There are so many different warriors and weapons to choose from throughout history. I honestly feel as though they could use the Knights, Vikings, Samurai, and Wulin again if they went down another path. They could even keep the same weapons if the combat was deeper or improved upon, as long as the customization allowed us to really make a hero our own. I also feel as though this doesn't need to be said, but For Honor is its own thing, and as practically everyone has said by now, you can't load up any other game and have this same experience, which is one of the reasons I think we still play it in the first place. But we know that it is an original IP. Ubi couldn't have known what to expect when making this game, and some of its systems need to be worked on from the ground up, and you can do that with another game, as well as give the series a second win, see what I did there, and convince people to try it again or try it for the first time after Ubi has learned so much from the game that we're playing now. What we like, what we don't like, what works, what doesn't work, what sells, what doesn't sell, you know, things like that. I just don't think this current game can have that second wind, even if they released an incredibly large update that added a whole lot of new content. I know that there are a bunch of you who don't agree with me when I say that, but the idea of For Honor is something that people want. The game did not flop in terms of sales on its release. It's a game that people were excited for, and I think that same excitement could be found again if there was another game. Now on to the actual questions. Wolflord Edvard says, I still cannot understand why. What was the reason behind the Aramusha heavy slowdown nerf? It can't be only the high win rate in Dominion. He feels so damn clunky now, almost unplayable. I actually do believe that his win rate has something to do with it. We know that Ubi doesn't only take the data into account, but I think it's pretty clear that it does influence things. Aramusha had problems for sure, but I'd rather have seen Ubi just leave him alone for the time being, mainly because I believe that nerfs like this should be compensated in some way. And if they really had to nerf the speed on, one of his attacks, they could have done so on his top heavy, and I would have totally understood why, as long as they gave him something else. But they didn't do that. They put weights in his blades and called it a day. Even after all this time, his heavies look out of place. He could honestly, just soft feint from neutral heavies at this point, and it wouldn't even look out of place. I wish that Ubi would have been more transparent about this change, as it sort of just came out of nowhere and we're all like, why the fuck did this happen? Is Aramusha okay? But yeah, I'm not really sure why Aramusha has 35-pound swords now. Maybe Ubi felt it was just time. Maybe there were legitimately too many complaints about him, or maybe they realized he was a samurai, who really knows. Next up, Owen says, do you feel like the existing heroes will get alternate armor like Warmonger? If so, what would you like to see? I don't think they will. And if I'm going to be honest with you, I hope they don't. Now, if Ubi came out and dropped alternate armor sets along with new armor, I'm all for it. But if alternate sets were passed off as new sets, that would be like a punch in the gut. I don't know how else to put it. A huge part of this game is the customization, and we've been waiting for quite some time, even before people started working from home and whatnot. I hope that when the new armor does come around, it's totally new like we've seen in the past, but as I said, if alternates were introduced just on a whim alongside, something else, or if they were released in an update or with content of the week, that'd be pretty cool. But I think it'd be best to just wait until some new sets are done beforehand. While appreciated, I don't think dropping them before new sets release would go over well. Now maybe, in the long run, after everything's said and done, they're done making new armors, and then they make alternate armors. I'd like that actually. Next up, Ben says, I feel like the decreased damage was a terrible idea, and I genuinely think For Honor was at its best before they even started adding ways to stop ledging. Man, that was a long time ago. It's genuinely become a mundane, thoughtless game, while previously not, being as you had to think about positioning, while now it doesn't really feel like ledging matters whatsoever. It's a moot threat. So I think the game has honestly been tailored to the wrong audience, because I feel like the people willing to stick with it are willing to look past those and begin to improve. Not only with the systems the game has in place, but also the maps it has set for the people too. While the people they've tailored the game for, honestly, it feels like they've tailored the game for kids at this point. I disagree with you on a few points here, Ben. Damage values have always been too high, and we really started to notice this when players got better at the game. But with attacks being easy to react to, lowering the damage long ago would have made fights last a bit too long if you weren't being ganked or anything like that. If we're going to have faster, more reliable offense across the board, damage needs to be lowered with it so that fights don't end too quickly. Saying that generally brings up the question of whether or not this update was even needed on console, but I've talked about that before and won't go over it again today. As for the changes to the maps, again, this is something that was necessary and is still necessary for a few maps to this day. The maps that Ubi set for us to play on still have issues, areas that are too easy to block off due to that weird invisible force field that we have around us, points still having insta-kill locations that are easy to access, pillars and obstacles that are easy to use to avoid fighting, short ledge trap attacks, things like that. When people who loved having multiple environmentals on points talk about baby proofing, they seem to only think about knocking someone off a ledge in a 1v1 or with a guard break or a bash or something in a duel setting, and mention players' awareness and things like that, without really talking about how easy it is to get set up for these insta-kills in team games that have little counterplay. I don't think these specific changes were targeted to the wrong audience. I think they were just trying to make the maps play better. I think there is still a fair amount of environmentals in the maps that have been changed. Anyways, that's all I've got for this video. Thank you for taking the time to watch it. Again, tomorrow is Ubisoft Forward and I'm off work, so we're definitely going to watch it together. As always, I do want to know what you guys think, so be sure to talk to me down in the comments about anything we talked about in this video. And as always, if you like the video, feel free to leave a like and sub if you're new, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.